Dear students, my name is Elnarine Greef and I'm happy to act as coordinating lecturer for Assignment 3. This assignment deals with one of my personal favorite fields of organizational communication, the field of public relations. Now, much has been said about public relations and its place within the new millennium. If you follow PR firms on social media, you will see that they continually try to stake their claim within the contemporary business environment. This assignment touches on some of those points. It is about the traditional and online public relations, and we specifically look at it in context in terms of its theories and functions. Good, let's get started by looking at the instructions for this assignment so that we can get an idea of what is actually expected. As you will see, there are 7 things that we need to make sure we cover in this assignment. Firstly, you need to discuss the nature of public relations and present a recent definition. Now, very importantly, you need to indicate why you selected this specific definition and also show how this definition complies with the most recent trends in public relations. It's actually a convention or a rule of thumb in academia to always motivate your choice of definition, literature, or theory. In this assignment, you will be doing a lot of that. Secondly, you have to critically discuss any 2 seminal and 1 recent theory of public relations. This means that there should be 3 theories in your assignment that you discuss. 2 are seminal and 1 recent. Okay, so let's get sidetracked here for a moment. What is a seminal theory? Well, seminal sources and seminal theories or literature tend to actually be the major studies in a field, and it relates to a specific topic. In our case, this topic is public relations. Seminal authors are the researchers, thinkers, or scholars that everyone discusses, whether or not you actually agree with their findings. They are often the instigators that opened up avenues of study within a specific topic. Now, these authors' theories would thus be those that we base our current understanding of the field on. We will discuss this a little bit later on, but for now, just take note of this definition or this idea. Thirdly, in this assignment, you have to describe at least 5 functions of public relations within an organizational context. Next, we move on to online public relations, and as was the case with traditional public relations, you now have to explain its nature, offering a recent definition. Very importantly, once again in this case, you have to tell us whether you actually agree with the definition that you offer, giving valid reasons for your arguments. In academia, a reason can never be valid if it's not informed by literature. So, you will have to make an argument that supports your reasoning. This argument has to be informed by different sources. Once you have done this, you need to provide valid reasons for the integration of online and traditional public relations tactics. Now remember what I said about reasons just now. In academia, there really are only valid reasons once they are supported and properly informed from literature. Just so, making use of sound sources, you will then have to explain the concept of reputation management and the relevance of public relations in reputation management. Then lastly, you need to critically discuss the role of public relations in creating and communicating industry-specific content as a way of positioning organizations as industry thought leaders. Okay. What is very clear here is that although this assignment asks you to unpack various theoretical aspects, you will not be able to answer to these assignment criteria if you are not able to really apply the theory that you obtain in literature. Merely rewriting what you find in literature is insufficient at honors level in any event, as we expect students to read widely and then integrate their various sources along with a discussion wherein their own interpretation of the subject matter becomes evident. This shows that the student has a deep understanding as well as insight into the topic, as is expected from them at this honors level. It's actually also only when you start to interpret the literature that you are able to answer the question posed in your assignment directly, rather than just sort of presenting pieces of information that's only related to it. Okay, so now let's have a look at these aspects or criteria a little bit more in depth. Firstly, you will have to discuss the nature of public relations and offer a comprehensive definition. Okay, now when you discuss the nature of public relations, no matter what definition you use, you will have to point out some of the characteristics and features of public relations. That's after all what a definition is made up of, right? Now be as exhaustive and comprehensive as possible. Public relations can be explained as the management of perceptions and strategic relationships between an organization and its internal and external stakeholders. That's a basic thing that you need to cover in your definition. Public relations can be described as a dynamic process also, and one that is continuous and constant in its changing and adjustment. Now, these changes and adjustments take place in order to maintain old relationships and actually build new ones. Also, public relations is analytical because there's a need to determine and analyze situations and factors that actually affect the organization. Planning is also another characteristic of public relations, which ensures that goals and priorities are set according to the situations and factors affecting the discipline of the organization as a whole. Now, you will be credited in your assignment when you provide a clear and applicable discussion on the nature of public relations, however you decide to manifest it. Then you have to move on to discuss the various theories of public relations. Now, there are a myriad of theories that you can make use of, but just remember that 2 have to be seminal and 1 recent. Some of these include the Grinig and Hunt models. Now, these are actually great to discuss the progression of PR, and I highly recommend those. But you can also look at the process approach, the systems theory, relationship management theory, the stakeholder theory, values-driven approach, the excellence theory, chaos theory, uses and gratifications theory, social exchange theory, situational theory, agenda setting, etc., etc. It's actually completely up to you. Now, I can already hear you asking, where will I find these theories? Well, the answer is by reading. Right at the beginning of the year, I made a video that shows you how to use Google Scholar and the UNISA library in order to locate your own academic sources. In that video, I even talk about how you would go about identifying seminal sources. If you've not yet done so, have a look at that video. Dr. Hanekom made an announcement about it on my UNISA. So the link to the video can be found on the announcement tab of the COM4808 site. Now, your discussions on the theories of public relations will enable you to move on to specifically discussing the functions of public relations. In this discussion, you have to unpack the various, but at least 5 functions, which might actually include communication, interpretation, communication management, research, strategic planning, publicity, advertising, promotion, media relations and placement, writing and editing, and the like. Any combination is possible, but remember to back up your discussion with references and always motivate your choices. Once done, you are ready to discuss the nature of online public relations. Now, for this discussion, it's important that you explain the characteristics of online public relations and also provide a definition for it. This definition also has to be comprehensive. Then you can show off your understanding of both traditional and online PR by discussing the integration of online public relations tactics in the traditional public relations campaign. When you go into industry, or if you are already there, you will know what we're saying, it will be a very practical consideration that you will actually have to employ. When writing up this part in your assignment, you should explain the concept of integration in the context of traditional and online PR. Your explanations should also reflect examples and valid reasons why there is a need for integration of traditional and online PR. The last two aspects of your assignment very heavily, even more so than the ones before, rely on interpretation. You will really need to understand the theory that you have engaged with up until this point in the module so far in order to answer it. You will have to discuss reputation management in the context of PR and explain public relations and thought leadership. First, you have to explain the concept of reputation management, which can be regarded as any effort to create a favorable opinion amongst an organization's stakeholders. Reputation management revolves around building and sustaining a good name for the organization. In essence, that is what it's all about. It's the role of the PR person to consider various elements of how the organization will actually interact, engage, and involve itself with its internal and external stakeholders. It's the responsibility of public relations to implement effective, transparent communication programs or campaigns that keep stakeholders informed. Then you are required to explain the concept of thought leadership and how public relations is playing a part in positioning organizations as thought leaders by producing and communicating industry-specific information. Now, it can be argued that public relations has become relevant in creating communication compelling and valuable industry-specific content that seeks to position organizations as these thought leaders that we spoke about. Thought leaders are considered to be the trusted voices, and informed opinion leaders whose expertise and views are highly regarded in the industry. Now, I know you can already think about various examples in this case. Make sure to include those in your writing. Public relations, it needs to be understood and underscored in your writing, helps to create and share industry-specific content, mainly through social media platforms, to ensure that an organization and its individual employees are actually regarded as thought leaders. Now, an example that immediately pops into my head when I think about thought leaders, a company and individuals, is Apple products and Steve Jobs. Now, you will create your own examples, and I'd love for those to be South African. But remember, there has to be a balance between theory and application. Good. Now, as you can see, there are various things that all need to work together in this assignment of yours. A very important point that you need to heed is cohesion in your writing. Remember, you have to forward a coherent and meaningful, not to mention academic, line of reasoning in your assignment, and you cannot do that if your writing is not coherent. The discussion of elements or aspects needs to logically flow over from one to the next. Very importantly, you need to make sure that different headings and sections in your assignment are linked to one another, and that it is clear how all of these headings and sections contribute to the argument line followed in your assignment. The different sections should not function independent from one another, but should actually all be part of the bigger discussion that answers the aspects that are put to you in this assignment theme. All right, well, we wish you all the best with this assignment and invite you once again to contact us if you have any specific questions. Happy reading and happy writing.